Okay, thank you. Recording. Apologies for that. I thought today the network would be a little bit stable because the weather is a bit better, but anyway, let's move on. So that is how we would manage would manage our different concerns from the different stakeholders. So it is imperative for ICT to identify the stakeholders and their concerns. Okay? Identify the stakeholders and their concerns. Then evaluate their level of interest and power to determine the importance of how you should target each stakeholder within an organization. Okay? The users are extremely important. Once the user has no interest in using a system, then that system is doomed to fail. Okay? That system is definitely doomed to fail. So target the interests of the stakeholders. So this slide gives us a broad spectrum of ICT management. The key points that you must take note of as ICT managers. So one is managing the concerns of the stakeholders, managing the strategy, managing the life cycle, the information system management. Information system management. So this is under information system management, this is the core where we select these particular management pillars that we must follow. Business process management, data management, application management, and infrastructure management. Okay? These are the the 4 key points which you must focus on as ICT management. Also take note the interaction and interdependencies between these different domains. Okay? The concerns and managing the concerns of stakeholders directly affects ICT strategy because their concerns and needs, these are what you implement within the strategy. What does the organization need? Okay. Once the ICT strategy has been implemented, or rather has been selected, and you select systems to be implemented, those systems have to be managed as well, their life cycle. If you remember again from the life cycle, you start with requirements, what requirements are necessary. We model, we design, we roll out, we operationalize, and then we must have a time of phasing out. Now, this life cycle is also dependent on the information system management. This is where, as ICT, you have determined what are the business processes within each unit, what data is needed, what are the applications that support this data, and the infrastructure. So these are the links. You must be aware of the interactions between these different management domains. We come to an important part, which is modeling. Okay? Modeling is a key point in ICT management, especially in the life cycle, and if I just go back, especially in the managing the life cycle and the information system management. Modeling becomes extremely important. So what exactly is modeling? This is when we represent a part of a reality. Okay, we represent a part of reality. Most of you have done this before. You have done UML diagrams before as you've developed systems, especially at undergraduate level, and maybe in your workplace. You've also designed databases where you've developed entity relationship diagrams. That is all modeling. Now, one might say, or you may ask again, why are we talking about this? We're talking about ICT management. If I'm a manager, we're probably going to again buy systems off the shelf. Again, we go back to the life cycle. Even if you're going to purchase a system off the shelf, you start how do we articulate the requirements and specifications? How would we start by articulating them so that we as ICT are aware, and then we can communicate it to the vendor? We start by modeling, representation of what we need, the reality of what is needed for a particular unit or units. Okay? Now, as we develop these models, they have a particular purpose for different people. You may develop a model to first present to a particular business unit. For example, marketing. They've made a request. So you develop a model to simply give them an indication that this is what you're asking for, and this is what this system should do. You have a user A who is of this position. This user enters data A, B, C, D. This data is fed into the system. It's accessed by so and so. This so and so is able to manipulate it, and then it can go to so and so. And giving a basic image, depending on who you're giving it to. It can also be given to top management who has to make a decision on the buy-in for that system to see that it actually is going to bring about the difference that you're talking about. Modeling can also be done for the vendor to actually pinpoint, this is what we want. Does your system respond to our needs? Okay. So this model doesn't show everything, doesn't show a totality of the information, just shows part of it. But the important point is it allows people to concentrate on the essentials, the problem that needs to be fixed. That's what modeling does. So we already know that it's an abstraction of the real world phenomena. Okay? It documents only the relevant aspects. So the model does not tell us what is right or wrong, but only what is relevant or what is irrelevant. Okay? What is it that we're going to do to cut out? Maybe in a certain business processes that are excessive, we just want to focus on what we can cut out. So that's the important part of modeling. Which model do we use? So we have different scenarios that we're talking about. Like as we said previously, it depends on who your audience is. Okay? It could be the business when you're trying to understand how the business runs and presenting a new system to management. It could be in an organization, a particular unit, okay, or particular units, and you're showing them the different components, how they will work. Or it could be for a particular silo or isolated system, which wants to focus on a particular objective. So depending again on why we are doing modeling. So what do we need to model? You may want to facilitate a discussion with stakeholders. Most of these things I've mentioned before. You want to specify a system that you want to articulate specifications of a particular system you want to implement. You want to gain an overview and understanding of a particular underlying system. You may want to document a particular system so that you are able to trace how the system works and then also look at knowledge management. So the models can help you perform analysis, look at performance, scenarios, and what ifs. In case something happens, what happens? What do we do? So some models can be automatically executed, meaning that we can very easily articulate them into a system. And others can simply point out maybe if a system is incompatible with the overall business processes. So whatever the case, you know that your model is for a specific audience and for a particular purpose in mind, depending on what that purpose is. So there are different tools we can use. I'm sure you know most of these already, but these are the different models, design models that rather applications we can use for modeling. So we have different types of information systems. So the first, I'm just going to talk about the generic part. Then at the end of these slides, we shall talk about the specific, the decision making, and so on and so forth. Okay. So we have those systems which coordinate and control decision making within an organization. Okay. Then we have those systems which automate tasks. Okay? Those that help us reach the goals of the organization. Okay. So for example, sending a notification, activate an alarm, things like that. Those are small tasks. This is an image of the different operational levels and where systems may fall. At the operational level, you have here where you may have those systems which are simply there to carry out tasks. At management and middle management level, you have decision support. Then at the top, you have those which are strategic level systems. But also decision support can go as far as up to decision support. Okay. Now, how do we manage ICT? Okay. We have talked about the systems approach, which is highly integrated. Then there's also the need-based approach, where we're looking at the needs of a particular manager at different levels. Those are the two ways that we can think about. There's also the management-oriented approach. This one actively directs the system's development efforts, okay? Where you should follow the top-down approach. What does management need? And management articulates what they need. So these are the three different modes of management that we can think of in terms of ICT management. The one that we're focused on quite a bit is systems approach, okay? But even these others can work. Even those others can come in to support. We may look at future-oriented management. This is very much strategic level when we project what may happen in the future. Then we can look at in terms of common data flow. This is where we're trying to avoid duplication and similar functionalities. Then there may be that management approach which is looking at computerizing. We simply want to computerize, to be digital, okay? Then there's the long-term planning type of management. All of these approaches in management are okay, and they can be used. They can support here and there. So depending on you, some management approaches can really focus on long term, but if for a more robust style of management, the systems approach is the best. Or it's what is being proposed as the best. Okay. We also have these others: marketing intelligence systems, market research systems. Again, these ones are more direct to a specific objective, depending on what it is that is needed. So what are the components of MIS, or rather management of information systems? You have internal record systems, and you have decision support systems, okay? So internal records here, an example would be like a marketing manager who is relying on internal records to see how many sales have I had, how many sales have, what were the prices, basically to see what targets have we hit, okay? Then you have the decision support, okay? This is where this support management operations and planning levels. So internal records can feed decision support systems where they give more aggregated data and show projections. So what makes up management of these information systems? We know that there are basic elements of a system. There are the people, there's the technology, and there is the information. Already from the systems approach, we've seen how to manage all of these. The people are basically the concerns. What are the stakeholders' concerns? The data drives us to the applications, and then the technology drives us to the infrastructure itself. So the people themselves tell us the controls and procedures. The technology gives us the databases and applications, and then they also give us the infrastructure. What are the pillars of management of information or ICT management? Respect for organizations' dynamics and structure. Okay, this is why it is very important to have the systems approach. The systems approach gives you that overview of the structure of the organization and how things work. The interconnectedness of these structures. Okay, the hierarchical and the wholly participatory. You notice even in the Mid-South Chambers case, they even gave the organizational structure. And those are key points in terms of management of ICT. Okay? You must consider that there is support at all levels of decision making, that there is support, ICT support. And this is strategic, operational, and tactical. You should be able to highlight problems and exceptional situations. And this is where modeling comes in. Okay? Then we can now begin to talk about the different types of information systems. You have the transaction support systems. These are ones that support large volumes of data. You have information systems. These ones that gather comprehensive data. Then you have the decision support and expert support. These are all just different types of systems that can be had. If we are to go back to the pyramid that we saw earlier, all these systems fall under the different types of management, different levels of management within an organization. Now, if I was to stop there, and first ask each one of you, when you think about the Mid-South Chambers case study, okay? When you think about it and its structure, where do you think the operations manager went wrong as far as management of this particular project came about? I don't know if you still remember that particular case study. You can think about, maybe it has skipped your mind, but let us look at maybe other cases. You think about it for your third assignment in groups. So what are the benefits? Why do management of ICT? One, it is to be able to facilitate long-term plans. Okay? It facilitates long-term plans. When we begin to look at the system as a unit, the organization, as a unit, you really see that you're considering all units within an organization and the interplay that comes within. You're considering the concerns of everyone, of your main stakeholders, and that in itself supports long-term plans. Improving of efficiency, both at the unit level and at the organizational level. Then it's also problem-based solving. Again, we are trying to change the mindset of ICT. ICT is normally seen as a firefighter. That's the traditional way of looking at ICT, as firefighters. A problem has come in this particular unit, go rush there and fix the next network, fix the computer that has failed here. And there, things like that. Oh, the server is down, let's quickly go and fix it. ICT is seen as a firefighter, but not as something that creates a smooth running of business. And that's the significance of ICT management. Okay, you preempt the problems that may come. It facilitates interpersonal communication. Why the ICT manager now is communicating before a problem has been raised. Okay? The ICT manager is raising the questions before they are even raised, promoting learning and training, because you're now looking at the life cycle of a system. For how long shall we have this system? We have people that can use it, and so on and so forth. Also facilitating organizational control, and so on and so forth. And you can look through this in your own time. We have already outlined the different systems that can be had within the organization. I won't repeat these because they are basically repeat. So I'll go directly to your group assignment. And this should, again, like I said, this should be your third and last assignment. You are given the case of Mid-South Chambers, where you saw a situation where, I think he was the chief operations officer who implemented a system. And at the end of the day, he was looking at a total failure. He found himself with a total failure on his hands. Now imagine you are the CIO and you've been brought in to do a turnaround. Can you do a critical analysis of where the problem needs to be tackled as management? What is the critical area that needs to be tackled? What was it that prompted Leicester to come in and bring in this system? What was the issue? Then, can you use a model to plan for implementation of the new system? Okay? Remember, we can model for whatever it is. Can you use a model to plan for the implementation of the new system? Where Leicester went wrong, where you think this could bring about success. Then you present your model together with the critiques that you have next Friday. Do we have any question? Do we have any question?
Madam, there's one in the chat.
Okay. Madam, they said, is this the final? This is the final coursework. It's coursework, not the final.
And maybe, Madam, someone was requesting for a sample model. Is it something you could share?
A sample model?
Something, yeah.
Okay. I'll look for something and load it up for you. But basically, look for why did Leicester? Let me see if I can pull up that particular case. Let me see. This is the Mid-South Chambers case. Okay? And it points out several things. They talk about the changing times. They say as a result of Lester's marketing sales reorganization and Wilson's aggressive management of expenses, the MSCC was experiencing solid financial growth. While the two men were primarily responsible for the success, Wilson and Leicester clashed on numerous occasions. Leicester felt that much of the territory manager's work and marketing support activities could be automated to provide the MSCC with a significant reduction in labor and allied costs. Leicester believed that a full-time systems analyst should be hired to meet the growing information needs. So they want to automate systems. They want to automate some business processes. Then they needed to hire an information analyst because they had growing information needs. So they were collecting more and more data for their business to support their business processes. And at the same time, they needed to automate some of the activities, probably to reduce on time and also to cut on costs. Okay? So we are already seeing, you can already see some of their needs. So you can start by modeling, number one, the business processes that needed to be worked on. Okay? Then two, create a model for the system itself. And here, they even give some functionalities the system itself provides. Now, if I was to relate that to the business, the business processes, do these business processes match the system itself? Do these business processes match the system itself? I would start from that point of view. So here, planning the new system is where it indicates the functionalities that the system can provide. Then there's also the catalyst for change. In this section, I think also you'll pick up quite a bit of information. So I would start with that. Now, what I can do also is give you a sample of a model. Hopefully I can upload this by Monday and you have an idea of how you can create these models. But for sure, the system model, these are models that you have developed before, like using use case diagrams. Those are quite easy. I think those are, most of you are familiar with them. And then I'll give you a sample for the business process models. Is that okay?
Yeah, that is fine, Doctor.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. Do we have any other questions?
You think you uploaded the recording also for us as soon as possible?
Yes. Let me upload it immediately after this lecture. The previous one is already there. Let me see if I can upload it immediately after this lecture.
And then do we have the class tomorrow same time?
The class. What time are you free tomorrow?
Because we've been having from 8, Mr. Duncan. Now, are we going to have maybe at 8 or after Duncan's class? I don't know. Or we are keeping the time.
After Duncan's class. What time does this lecture end? At 10. So shall we have ours at 11?
It's okay then.
Okay.